Welcome back to the desk. It's been a slew of incredible games here. My name, of course, is F. Joined here by Hindu Man and the Hunter. Well, Hunter now, previously solo laner for
Previously
our resident
Hunter.
Titan.
He's been around.
And we've been watching Eager versus Cloud9, one of the more anticipated matchups of our Super Regionals here. And, well, it hasn't disappointed. 2 games going the way of C9 at first, and then Eager answering back with a strong Game 3.
Living up to expectations. The question is, can Eager take another 2 in a row? What do you guys at home think? You're all in chat now, so just spam who you think is going to take the game. Cloud9, Eager, because I spoke to people today earlier on. It's 50-50 everywhere you go.
Either way, you can
No
also
one knows.
just spam a Kappa face. I'm real more interested in BaRRaCCuDDa. We're talking about how momentum-driven that the team of Eager is and has been historically. They just won the last one, hand over foot. We're talking 5-digit gold lead. How important do you think that win is going into game number 4?
I think for them, they've had these very close games, and to actually take one quite convincingly, they got the lead. It was very much like Cloud9's first win. It's going to propel them into this next game. Cloud9, though, they're not a team to really get tilted. That if they lose a game, they just deep breath.
You've had the experience of that. World Championships last year, finals against them. You were down 2-0. Actually, this is the best story about you, think about it, because you've done this against Cloud9, brought it back to 2-2, and then see Cloud9 manage to take it away from you again.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Eager take another game, but they should never count Cloud9 out because they will bounce back for that 5th game. They'll put their foot down. They'll be ready to hold the line.
But we're still game 4 here. Start of this one, Eager with the momentum. Good situation for them, but I don't think it's done yet for Cloud9.
I'll tell you right now, just walking backstage, how locked in the guys of Eager are. Usually teams come off the stage for like a glass of water or something just to stretch their legs. I mean, that was a long game. Game 2 was long before that. And you'll get like a hi or like a, we're trying. I said hi to LAssiz and Zapman, who I'm very good friends with. And they were just
blank faces.
They were just locked in.
They were completely zoned in. Like, I've not seen them like that before. Normally those two are the funniest guys you'll ever meet in the world, and completely blank. This is all business.
I haven't seen those characters locked in that way in a long time, and it's definitely a huge part of how important this game is, and not for nothing, how serious that Eager takes this. It's very interesting, especially myself, who I tend to stream on a casual side. So you take a lot of people know LAssiz and Zapman from their streaming career, and how approachable and likable these guys are, and I don't mean to say that they're not approachable and likable, but when it comes time to play, it's a much different world. I mean, this is why these guys are here. This is their profession, and it is all about these wins here. So Eager, they've got to win 2 in a row to take this best of 5. Cloud9 just have to take 1. So Eager, with their back against the wall, locked in as always. Bans come out. No Xingqian or Khepri.
And the bans is an interesting factor, though, because Bellona was favored over by Cloud9. So it's banned away from Cloud9 and given to Eager now. They're going to lock in Sol because of it. Other factor, Cloud9 lost that game and chose to be second pick again, which tells me that I expect the rest of these games, if there's any more after this one, we're going to see the same lineup of Eager, Order, Chaos for Cloud9. They both like the size they're on.
So I like to see Sol get through here. She's been a very controversial god amongst all the teams. Some say she's okay, some say she's overpowered and just needs to be banned out. So to see her get through, it's a rarity for NA. So I'm really excited to see what they plan to do with her.
Because what we see from Sol is like early game domination, mid game kind of depends on how the early game went and if she managed to pick up some kills. Late game though, you're lacking that hunter, you're lacking that crit, that 100-0 that 2 shots from a hunter could really bring you. Even a Neath looks stronger than a Sol in the late game. We've seen that in a couple of games now.
She's a hidden late game character because her 2 can actually, if you get the Polynomicon and power in the pen, you can chunk for 50% easy, but she'll never follow up on it, and I think that's where people feel that she doesn't really shine late game.
Yeah, it's all, she's very item dependent, which is why you see, I always look at it as sort of a reverse bell curve, where she has a fantastic laning phase early. She doesn't do much mid game because you can sort of pester her. It's out of lane, but she doesn't have the important items online. And then once late game comes along, as we said, power items, Polynomicon, that can be problematic for the enemy team.
Xbalanque going over to BaRRaCCuDDa again. Both these hunters have gone for hyper carries, and when they've had them, they've done very, very well. You called this at the end of the last game. You wanted to see both the hunters go for hyper carries. Where do you expect to see Zapman go for them? Is it going to be the Sol, you think, here?
If I was Zapman, I'd probably be happy with the Sol.
Yeah.
But she's not a gas pedal god. You know, you have to be a bit more reserved. I think a big part of her kit is actually how difficult she is to kill and how deceptively she can bait people backwards and then capitalize on it. and I'm not sure if that's something that Zapman wants. Seeing him in this last game, he shined when he got to go as hard as he wanted to go, so maybe put the Sol in mid or in solo.
Well, we
and
see
then
the
get a different
Poseidon
meta.
ban by Cloud9 here, so that says that they believe the Sol is not for the mid lane here.
Yeah.
They're focusing on LAssiz. 2 hits to him there, back-to-back with the Zeus and now the Poseidon, and with a Thor taken away from andinster, which shows how much Cloud9 really favor their other options. It's back to them.
I am liking this pick ban phase, honestly,
For
for
Cloud9.
both teams.
I'm favoring Cloud9 just because of that Osiris locking for Baskin there. Take that one away again from Omega, who's very front-liney. He's also had the Bellona removed from him as well. Hades was an issue for them, but it wasn't that much of an issue. If he defaults to that one, I'm kind of okay with it personally.
The Osiris is a very good pick here as well because they have seen Omega play the Hades, and Osiris is one of the famous counters to Hades in lane, and that you can really bully him, and Hades can't just leave the tower and do, you know, what Hades does, which is rotate first.
And on top of that as well, he's actually very good against JHong Osiris because of the tether reducing the amount of damage that comes out while it's being attached to him. And
That's where I thought he was
on
going to
his
go.
hero, we're going to see the rise of the man himself. It's been a while since we've seen a Hercules.
I mean, the Hercules is very sort of centric to what Omega wants to do. I would say Chalk, because everybody knows I like Chalk, but at the end of the game, all you have is a Chalk. He doesn't really do much. Hercules has the same sort of frontline prowess in the sense that you can't really kill him.
It's an Omega god. That's the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like we saw, I pointed it out towards the end of the game last time around for Eager, where you saw Omega 20 feet ahead of his team. Hercules can do the same damn thing. He's going to sit 20 feet ahead of his team, pop that heal, and just not let anybody pass him like a good sweeper. That's what Omega is looking to do playing this Herc.
So the final pick of the set was actually Serqet, and I think this really comes into the whole LAN meta in that as you play teams, you come to LAN and you're like, okay, Serqet's a top pick, let's never play against it. But as these things come out, you know, we see the Xing bans, we see the Capri bans, and we see them develop these combos, they start to understand their opponents more, and then we suddenly see 10th pick Serqet.
10th pick Serqet because it got through the ban phase, and it even got through the counter ban phase when Thor was banned
And
now
it's
instead.
so good against the Herc.
And it's a very good situation for Cloud9. On paper, looking at this composition interaction, normally at home, like if you were sat watching and you were listening to us or have us muted, whichever way you chose to do it, when you looked at the two compositions on paper, without seeing the team names, where would you go?
I would edge for Cloud9 because it's very difficult to get the Naja ult onto the ZHong ult, but we just saw DaretoCare do that late game, non-stop. So if DaretoCare can do that once more and doesn't have that early game, then I think Eager could very well take this.
I think the whole game for me rides on Zapman's soul. Where is it? How well does it do? And how far ahead, if any, does it get?
On his soul, not on his soul. Then for a second, I was like, "Oh, on his soul."
Well-
Well, he showed his soul last game, and it came through.
Well, all right, I'll go with you there. A lot of it does lie on Team Eager's soul as far as momentum is concerned.
They've got it.
They just had a fantastic win, and I mean, one of the cliches that we've had over the course of the week is how momentum-driven Team Eager is. How strong can they carry that? Will that momentum be enough? But seriously, I do think a lot of it has to do with how strong this soul character is for Zapman.
And it's
That's
important
really what it
too
comes
because
down to.
BaRRaCCuDDa is on this Xbalanque again. We saw him go off in game 1 on it and really bring Cloud9 to the forefront with it. He's going to have to shut him down in lane early. Are we wanting the kills to go to Zapman here? Are we looking for the kills to DaretoCare for the Naja? Where would you be looking?
I'd probably say to DaretoCare.
Yeah.
I feel like Sol doesn't really need the kills to get ahead. She's very strong early, and once she gets the items on, she's always there.
Agreed.
And you want him the crit going to DaretoCare if you can get him online with those
Absolutely,
Deathbringers.
yeah.
Naja comes to the forefront. We saw that towards the end of the last game.
Very small thing that I want to point out. If you notice, all hunters generally start behind the damage camp in order to get their basics onto the back guy, the big target. Very interesting that Zapman opts when playing Soul to go into the front because he wants the time to detonate his second ability. So very small mechanical change that I want to point to the fans at home.
Pressure from LAssiz in mid lane, as to be expected on an Isis up against a ZHong, but the rotation was a little bit quicker there as well out of andinster, and clearly Andy and Stealth do not want to fight mid Harpies at the moment. They'll opt for the left-hand side here, because obviously Naja and Isis is not a combo you really want to fight in the mid lane.
It's very scary. Both are very, you know, we are strong before 5, and at 5 we're also pretty strong too, so they have to really be careful about this and pick their fights from the side. Never go straight on, especially with the Serqet. You want to get these, you know, these...
And that's the thing, like you said yourself, you feel like you favor Cloud9's composition here, but early game is all Eager. I mean, Left duo lane here, you've got the Sol with amazing push power. Mid lane, Isis, Najjar.
Oh, yeah.
This is Eager's opportunity to get a lead. I mean, maybe over in the solo lane is the best way I can put that matchup. But then the other two lanes, Eager need to try and establish themselves this game.
Yeah.
It's nice to me, though, because Eager, they have a very strong early game, but it doesn't really die as the game goes on. It's not like selecting a Thanatos where you got to win in 10 minutes, otherwise you hang up the towel, right? This is a situation where the DaretoCare's choice, Zapman's choice, LAssiz's choice, they'll grow into the mid game. They'll be a little bit different, but they'll be able to keep the game going on. So while very early game oriented, they're still a viable option for as the game gets later and later.
Keep an eye on DaretoCare, though. We mentioned him that he would be looking for the kills as well. His early rotations last game led to a good victory for Eager in the end because he picked up that first blood that was very important. And andinster, though, he's looking for the play on Omega on the right.
Omega's been doing a lot of this tanking the minions to make sure that he doesn't lose gold to tower. So because of that, it's been communicated to the jungler andinster, who's going to make a visit over here to solo lane.
He's very lucky that Andy hasn't hit 5 just yet, because I think they could have potentially held him then, especially because Baskin just hit 5 for the Lord of the Afterlife. But andinster falling behind a little bit in the jungle here. You can see DaretoCare just hit 5, and Andy hung around a long time this right and didn't find anything.
So you've got
Here
Baskin.
again. He knew it was coming.
Very quickly got away.
Wise boulder from Omega. He's still sticking around, though, after using his heal. And DaretoCare came around to support, but hang on a second, we may have a fight.
DaretoCare might have been aiming for the character, but instead just finds a way out.
He's dead.
But a quick ultimate out of the enemy jungler makes sure that that way out is anything but. andinster, the first one on the board for Cloud9. That's first blood, and he's very low, but Hercules can't find it, and even if he does, there's a mid laner lying in wait.
He used the boulder, and that was the key factor. The boulder to clear the wave. If he had it there, he would have found the kill. Left-hand side aggression coming out. You can see the darkest and nice use from BaRRaCCuDDa there. Not necessarily looking for a pick on this side, I think. I think it was more to support the right-hand side. But my, that boulder being on cooldown was a big difference.
Yeah, you could see Omega, he used it. I mean, he was low, he needed to back, and it was against the poke lane, so he wanted to do that and get out of there. And then right when he needed it.
Right when he needed it. There's nothing worse in that situation. But with DaretoCare as well, use the ultimate to disengage, and then a good rotation in from Baskin to pick up the kill.
Soul being taunted just a little bit. The passive going nuts
Still
right
going.
now. Looking to be aggressive. Dashed out of the way is Cloud9 support JeffHindla, so no big deal right there. But Eager instead going to turn their sights onto the attack speed buff.
That fight's still going on the left-hand side because there's PolarBearMike with the Cataclysm. Sash comes out from DaretoCare. 1-1 is the scoreline. And we said, where do we want the kills to go? Yeah. It went to DaretoCare.
Especially after suffering first blood right there, DaretoCare absolutely needs to pick up that kill. He'll also get some bonus experience for taking out his enemy's attack speed buff. DaretoCare, although he did give up first blood, still looking cute, feeling cute.
Now they stole the purple on the left-hand side, but the blue was taken away from Hercules on this right. And because they know 2's on the right-hand side, they're looking at a Gold Fury, and nobody has an idea this is going on.
So Najjar does a decent amount of damage to objectives. Of course, you do have Isis's ultimate as well. I think that's what you were pointing out at Anorexia. And when it comes to early Gold Furies, this team is definitely adept at doing so.
Andy is camping solo lane. Now look at him. He's looking for Omega again on this side. Potentially for the speed buff too, because that has spawned and is still available right now.
Ping's
and they collapse on it. We could see a fight over here now. And I think Cloud9 may want to think against this if they know Isis is about.
There's the ultimate. Raw ultimate as well. Might have surprised Andy. Down comes the Serqet. Very low. He'll find a way out of the fight, but DaretoCare, a single Spirit Flail brings him down to 50%.
Sash misses.
And a Sash gonna miss.
Sash missing was quite key there, because I think Cloud9 would have been quite happy with that one, actually. They had reinforcements coming in. And an interesting game so far.
Yeah, I think for me, the story of this game is really going to be on the Soul. She's been very contested, and I feel like because we've not seen it so far, has she been overhyped, or is she really going to deliver and make a massive
biggest
impact
question,
on the game?
is she overhyped? Because casual players seem to think she's very strong at the moment. A lot of pros feel that way. Some think mediocre, some think not as important as people are saying. Eager clearly value it, and so did Cloud9, because they banned it away originally.
Well, that's been one of my favorite conversations with the pros
One
here.
second, Omega is in a little bit of trouble here. Going to get thrown
No
back into Baskin. Athena's on the way too. Omega will fall down, and JeffHindla gets the credit with the dunk.
I mean, what was the slash line for Omega last time around? I think it was 90-0-800 or something like that. Cloud9 took notes. I don't think it takes Coach Hurwin to sit there and tell them, hey, look, Omega almost killed everybody by himself. Why don't we pay attention to him this time
Paying
around?
attention to him, Eager are quite aware of, because they did that goal fury nice and early because they saw the rotations over there. Both teams playing to what they feel they need to do, and it's the right call most of the time.
The trade-off is that in the games that we've seen Cloud9 win in the past is that BaRRaCCuDDa got very far ahead because they paid so much attention to the dual lane. This time we're seeing the opposite, where he's against a very aggressive, we have Sol, who is a lane bully, and BaRRaCCuDDa is getting behind. He's been picked again at the early game.
That's true.
And Cloud9 needs to really address this for the late game.
Again, 3 members from Cloud9 find themselves on the right-hand side. Up in the air is Baskin, thanks to DaretoCare. He's going to get flipped and kicked underneath the tower, but the tower takes forever to target him since there were already minions there. LAssiz comes around, seals the deal, evens up the kill count. It's 2-2.
2-2, and you can see PolarBearMike just going to drive Cloud9 back again on this right-hand side. Minions, mid-hoppies are spawning there, and it looks like they will go to Cloud9 as well. Maybe a ring toss will come out from there. Nope, not this time round.
Scared of the taunt.
But the big key, I think... Oh, no, I don't know what Jeff was thinking there for a second.
Jeff by himself.
He's okay, though. What I was going to mention, though, was that DaretoCare got the ultimate off onto Baskin, and if he hadn't, the taunt from Jeff would have killed him before he could have actually gone in. Lucky situation. He bought himself a moment.
We're seeing that a lot now. Here's the thing that comes out of one of the finer points of Najah. Right now we've got Andy jumping on in, but a Spirit Ball gives enough spacing. One of the finer points of Najah, if you ultimate, when you come down, you will be kicked back to where you use that ult from. So a lot of times we see the easy move, the sash into the ult. That's why Najah is very predictable where he's going to land. DaretoCare in this game has been using the long distance ult, and what that does is it puts him away from harm's way when he lands on the ground, and that's a big point for those 2 ults that we saw out of him so far.
Still anyone's game so far. 2-2 tied up. Golden experience relatively even, I want to say, between these two teams. Level 10 for Omega, considering he's been focused this game. To have a lead over Baskin here is pretty good. But then again, andinster's been taking a lot of farm here by hanging around so much.
That's what Omega does, though, honestly. What I've really seen out of Omega is now Cloud9 paying attention to the left-hand side heavy-handedly. 4-man rotation, including the mid laner, come over to Cloud9.
Though, from Zapman was very good there just to dissuade the attention again. He nearly got himself in an awkward spot by doing it, but relied on the disapparate, his 3, to get himself out of danger.
But as I was saying about Omega, as he's going to be surprised by Osiris from the back, don't think there's going to be anything really to talk about. Is Omega world champion Omega? Let me preface that. One of the most important things about being a solo laner, you flirted with it, not only winning your lane, but when you're going to lose, knowing how to lose or get ganked effectively.
Exactly. Sometimes, you're a Hercules, you're against a Serqet. If you get caught and then Osiris with all his slows, sometimes you're just going to die. They can tower dive you, but it's about how you...
They're picking him in mid. They're looking for the pick on stealth. They've got a full combo. The ultimate miss from DaretoCare because the knock-up threw him into the air. Now DaretoCare's in trouble, but a good stun from LAssiz will stop the chase, but he's still going to go down to the card. How unfortunate for Eager. They're going to get turned on now and potentially lose LAssiz as well.
Here's the rotation out of Baskin. This is trouble for Eager as Baskin gets the kill on the mid laner. One mistake makes that team fight, which looked very good for Eager, into a complete opposite situation. Eager watches 2 of their members fall for
Omega
0.
Omega gets a kill back with a fantastic Earthbreaker driving strike combination there. Zap swinging around the backside, though, means that they're going to dissuade any more attention from Cloud9 in mid. But that could have gone so much better for Eager there. That's just unfortunate.
It happens, even though they're on land, these are the best players in the world. Sometimes you're just going to make a mistake. You can't really predict the knockback. And
yeah, it was the shockwave that just knocked him, and then he flew the wrong way. Oh, man.
It's one of those things where we identify that, we call that a miscommunication, right? But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to communicate the abilities .4, those abilities are back-to-back.
There's no one to blame for that. It's just, nah.
You could blame BaRRaCCuDDa because the Xbalanque ult might have obstructed his vision that was going on at the same time. So maybe
you could actually say BaRRa saved his life. Is that what you're trying to say?
Or that, yeah.
There you go. BaRRa, the hero of the hour there, just with that darkest of nights, coming to the rescue of his boy in mid lane, MSC Stealth. And Stealth did manage to survive that little tussle.
Super important. Again, we were singing the praises of Omega, and then he came up late to the party, but still made something happen. I mean,
Andy is doing work, though, right now, and you can see how aggressive he's been. Been in solo lane, been to duo lane.
Ult.
Stealth Takes him to the sky, does DaretoCare out of the fight.
Love, again, the timing of that. MLC
Boom.
Stealth in some trouble, has a hair of
Darkest of
HP.
Nights.
And again, DaretoCare picks up the life of the mid lane, ZHong. 5 members for Eager, alive and well
Gold
in
Fury.
the mid lane, and they're shading to the left.
They're going towards the Gold Fury, but without that ultimate available for LAssiz here, it's a bit risky as well. They can still look for it as the solo lanes have both returned. No teleports for either of them here to get involved. I think we'll see Eager just back off and go back to farming.
One of the things, again, I mean, it's DaretoCare. He's just waiting for that ZhongKui ult.
Yeah.
He could have ulted the ZhongKui earlier, waited for the ult, and it's a sacrifice because you're not going to do the damage as Najah because the double protections are there in the air. So you're not going to do the damage. But when it comes down, there's no damage to be dealt.
Big sash and a good juke from andinster there as well, but he didn't actually manage to get enough damage onto LAssiz to find the kill. But look at how Andy did that little back step and went, nope, no sash for me, thank you. Now I'll go aggressive. Such amazing play. Both jungle, everyone in these games is stepping up. That's a crazy thing. Sometimes people have bad games. You know, we've seen Zap have bad games, BaRRaCCuDDa have bad games. Everyone has, but today they're all here.
I mean, we spoke a little bit about the mindset as the taunt goes on to the jungler on the side of Eager. There's 3 members here for Cloud9, but it's just not enough. DaretoCare gets out of there safely.
Gets out of there safely, will return to base. He was going to head back anyway, which isn't too bad because he had no mana there. You can also see Andy's going to probably have to do the same thing very soon as he's recalling there too with no mana. Gold Fury still stands for 12 minutes in, and once again, this game is still balanced on a knife edge.
I mean, it's, 12 and a half in, tie game. Those numbers, they seem to say something, but these teams are separated by nothing more than a doll's hair.
We're going to get to that point again after Act 2 where when the solo laners hit home is when we're going to see 5v5s again.
Absolutely. And
Which one do you feel is going to make a bigger impact, though? That's the question, I guess.
For me, I feel Hercules is the bigger team fighter. Osiris is very strong in lane. That's where he really excels. But Hercules can come up, and the amount of damage and control he has is a lot more than Osiris' slows. However, Osiris can really lock down the key targets, and maybe he can force Sol away so they don't have the damage to finish targets
And I
off.
think that was the key with why you saw andinster heading over that side to support Baskin, getting big so he could chase after the Sol and take her out.
It's such an interesting situation with these 2 solo laners because, while you take a look at Hercules and his ability to isolate a single target and burst them down with help of his teammates is very strong. Osiris jumping on in and judgment tethering and lowering everybody's output, whether it's offensive or otherwise, is a huge, powerful tool. So both of these teams have to be very careful. But one of the things that's being pointed out right now, we've got the meditation on Hercules. Somewhere there is a DM Brandon screaming, I told you so.
Now he'll be going for salvation more than likely here, I
course.
feel, just to give the extra heal to a team as well. The mana back in meditation is good for the individual if you go for the other version, but he'll really want the team heal. Only issue is that he's still not going to help against andinster or against Baskin if they get those ultimates off. Both of them, 0% heal on those. It will potentially be the meditation bait here. He doesn't... I want to say that I feel like he should get beads, just in case he gets hit by the taunt.
I'm curious as to why he's gone for it so late as well, because the mana issues are really quite early. I know Hercules kind of struggled throughout the entire game, but to get it so late, I feel that maybe missing out on a potential creeping curse, having the agility, or just selfish beads could really hurt them in the later team
Taunt
fights.
on Dare, he used beads and his ult to try and chase after Barry, didn't find it, and now he's in trouble as well. Under pressure, Solly's there to support, but he will fall down to BaRRaCCuDDa, who finds himself a stack.
Just the mechanical misstep spells disaster for DaretoCare as he falls down after a huge aggression by Cloud9.
Big
There's
shield.
4 players on the left-hand side, and Eager only has 3, but here's a teleport. That makes it 4. LAssiz shows up. He's got 2 kills. BaRRaCCuDDa forced off, but who else has a double kill?
Baskin's in trouble.
MLC Stealth.
Baskin's in trouble if that Spirit Ball hits. Yes, he is. Earthbreaker, driving strike available for Omega again. Omega with the swiftest of teleportations that has turned this fight in his head, and Eager have a real big lead now.
Zapman push and go will ride along as he's looking for the kill. Misses the slow on the Athena, and as soon as Athena finds herself safe,
It's Gold Fury,
the
boys.
Gold Fury is certainly not safe.
PolarBearMike in that fight, we've
shield.
not really spoke much about him, but not only did they were tracing down Zapman as his zap rate was ending. He was dead. Shield comes out, and not only that, he blinks through the wall and body blocks a Serqet ult so that he can get away. That is
Amazing.
absolutely incredible.
Gold Fury still being tanked, 25% or less. Eager gets credit for the Gold Fury. Down comes JeffHindla. He was the target of DaretoCare. The entirety of Team Eager chasing. Stun, smack, one more. There's the sash. DaretoCare gets the kill.
They give it to DaretoCare is key. Notice how LAssiz did not throw any more autos there or a wing gust. He left it for DaretoCare. This team is playing amazing.
Cloud9, though, taking what they can, go directly towards the mid tower. Still alive, but just barely. Andinster has to be forced out, but the tower does fall.
Does fall, and Mike did his best there to body block and keep them off it, but doesn't find it. And like you said, Mike, going back to Mike in that play, what a big impact that was, because it allowed Omega to get into that fight. They dived in deep, still looking for the pick onto Sol. They don't find it, and it came up big.
PolarBearMike, one of the most improved players of the SPL, I think. We're taking a look at Super Regionals. PolarBearMike is playing fantastically. He's virtually everything you want out of your support, right? We've seen a couple of mistakes, but we've seen a couple of mistakes from basically everybody. But this is largely a different player than we saw when he first joined this team, Eager.
He played well when he first came onto the roster, but he had a lot to learn.
Exactly.
And he's had a chance to grow with this team now. And he's really showing that he knows what his job is on the side of Eager. Because every team has the support to do different things.
Exactly. We've got Kret, who's a fantastic coach, always hands-on, but more importantly, long-time veterans like LAssiz and Zapman, and then with the inclusion of a world champion of Omega, it's impossible not to learn in that environment. So PolarBearMike has really come together for this squad and has been an invaluable member.
Now we're going to go late game here. We know we're going to go late game because we've gone late game every game so far. Late game full builds.
It's a tough one. I think really, I feel like they're starting to realize that the Zhong is not all that against this Naja, because he is not getting an ult off, and until he can do that, they have no chance in these fights because Zhong basically doesn't exist. What's happening is he gets thrown up in the air, his protections go.
Oh, wait a second, because he just used the ult on an Athena there, and that leaves Stealth alive in this fight to deal a lot of damage, and with Baskin there too, they're surrounding the boys of Eager, who are only 3 men. However, Omega is on his way with a boulder, and Baskin's going to fall down to a supernova from Zapman.
Level 17, able to turn on the flames and make it hot. He is absolutely destroying Cloud9. Team Eager is really riding this Sol 2-0-4, but the damage is really what we're looking at. It's making it count. And Eager able to push down this tower. Mid lane might stand, but look at Zapman just tearing through it.
Yeah, using the Disapparate there to get the hastened Fatalis effect with it, to allow his auto attacks to not give him movement penalties as well, so he could get straight back out if he got engaged on there too. Good use of the God.
Yeah, look at this. Structure damage. All of it is Zapman.
And the big thing is Polynomicon as well. You mentioned this, and we've had conversations with some of the other pros, and they're not sure about Polynomicon being the correct option. Clearly, Zap likes it.
For me, Polynomicon, I actually think it's the best item on Sol. Hands down, no exception. It's so easy to proc, and the argument against it is usually that you can't choose the target.
Yeah.
But the fact that it procs at all it's incredible. And in a team fight, you're gonna hit it on someone, and it does so much damage. It adds an extra 50-60% scaling onto your 2. It's incredible.
And Polynomicon works on towers.
It does. That's probably why he popped the 3. Not only does he is he more mobile, he's harder to hit, but he also gets the extra poly.
Really good call.
You know, she's already an amazing tower pusher, and then you add a poly damage to it.
Now let's have a look at the graphs here, because we're not really tuned into them at all this game, but look at this again. Eager, dominant, good position here so far. 4,000 experience. Just under 4,000 gold lead for them as well. They were in this spot last game and they managed to bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
Looks like they may be able to do it again if they can keep this going, but game 1, they had an opportunity of that and Cloud9 came back.
Yeah, Eager just looking to push their advantage as well with 19.5 on the clock, leading by 3 kills as well. Just looking very, very strong. I mean, this team, as I said, we talk about the mental state and how locked in these guys are. One game at a time. Talk to me a little bit about the mentality when you're down and the opponent has 2 wins in a best of 5. You have to take one game at a time, or do you look at it as the big chunk?
I feel like you have to do both, really. You can't let the previous games get you down, but you also have to learn from them. It's very important to see the grand scale of things and see how these pick and bans are going to evolve. For example, if Eager take this game, then maybe they want to try and look at how Zhong and Naja interact and how they can get them off opposite teams.
And learning from it is the big key here, because we're seeing itemization as well, which is not necessarily always the standard you'll normally see. ISIS, for example, with an ethereal staff third item, is not really that standard. But I feel LAssiz here, he feels like he's going to be under pressure and focused, so he's gone for a more defensive route. Same as his Zeus last game.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of times people sort of, to oversimplify things, say Warlock Sash is the way you want to go if you want power and health, and you buy the E-Staff if you thought about it too late. But essentially, here's the thing. Buying the Ethereal Staff makes your mid-game a little bit more potent, because while it does trail off at the end in juxtaposition to a fully stacked Warlock Sash, if you don't have a large number of stacks, that number of 66, if you don't have 66 stacks on that Warlock Sash, it just winds up being an item that you have to wait to stack up. So by buying that E-Staff, it's similar to the Hunter build that we see Zapman using earlier by going Soul Leader. You don't have to waste the time stacking up the item. You'll lose a little bit in the end, but for right now, it is the way to go if you want to be relevant.
Well, it's Gold Fury time again at the 21-minute mark, and you know exactly how the last game went. There was a monstrous fight around it. The last fight went in favor of Eager, and Omega being aggressive, but the driving strike was perfectly timed.
I feel like we see Omega try to 1v2 more often than not.
Now.
1v3 might be a tall order for him, and we'll see Omega fall down, but textbook play out of Eager. 3 members of the other side, no problem.
A little bit late, though, because they're still going to deal with a JHong and a BaRRaCCuDDa here on the Xbalanque. Keep an eye on DaretoCare, looking to take him out of the fight. They need to. Supernova rains down Eager, get the Gold Fury, but how many casualties will there be?
Well, the ultimate came out of MLC.
None!
And now he died. LAssiz picks up the kill for that one. Taking a look at the last remaining standing member.
Oh my God, got the shield!
Picks up BaRRaCCuDDa off of a fantastic shield by PBM.
PolarBearMike kept his teammate alive. I don't know how he did that.
He not only did that, but he also had the shell straight away. As soon as ZHong in, there was the shell and the ice assault. I mean, he is the quiet support. He's doing so much in these fights, but unless you're looking specifically at him, you might miss it. And I think that's the story for this entire set. We haven't really talked much about him, but
both
it's because he hasn't made mistakes.
Yeah, both
and he
supports.
does these quiet, amazing things.
Both supports haven't really made that many mistakes to talk about, because sometimes that's where the backbone of potential plays comes from. Zapman going deep, gets the red, but can he get away from Andy?
Love the play of Andy respecting the trail. And look, Andy's going to be surprised by a Hercules quickly getting out of there, but the beads are gone.
Force beads, and that was a really wise play from Omega to realize that Zap was in trouble then. Because after that disapparate wore off, Andy would have fully committed and potentially found a kill then. Really good call from Omega to have the presence of mind to notice that.
One of the things that I've liked about Team Eager coming into this is really the adaptation. We mentioned how, we've mentioned sort of almost ad nauseum how DaretoCare's entire job is to be Flicker Wisp. He's just sitting here. As soon as the ultimate comes out of ZHong, he takes him out, and then ZHong comes back in as soon as the ultimate's over, right? That's his job. Well, we saw the earlier ultimate going for damage, and ZHong, oh no, how are they, well, the ultimate's not there, how are they going to react? PolarBearMike, shell, shield, totally fine. So they've adapted. Now they have 2 options to deal with that ZHong ult.
You can see the build coming out as well from Sol. A little bit more Polynomicon was the last item. Now it's on to Obsidian Shard. I agree with this just because they've got a spear on ISIS already. How do you feel?
For me, the perfect pen item, I do this pretty much exact build. I swap the Thoth and the Poly around, but it's perfect because Sol has a lot of damage in her enhance and in her spells, and it's very awkward. Sometimes you find yourself leading with one and not the other, and Obsidian Shard actually contributes to both. Whereas if you have a spear, your in-hands aren't doing that much, and then if you have a Demonic Grip, then your 2 doesn't hit as much at the start.
You know what I said earlier about the Polynomicon? Obsidian Shard works on towers. Sol, Zapman, looking for the structures. Well, he's got an idea of objectives, and that's what he's going to do.
Objectives is what they're going to do. Split push coming out from Andy in mid. No minions there, though. Tier 2 tower will fall on the right-hand side very, very quickly there. And I think this is what Eager's whole plan is here. Let's go for a Phoenix, because Andy and BaRRaCCuDDa are not even here yet. Cataclysm onto Baskin, followed by a Sash, followed by a driving strike, but Baskin still stands.
Ultimate out of the mid lane, MLC stealth. Everything is going nuts as the ghosts are raining down, but safety from Eager. They play it safe. They sit on the ISIS ultimate and wait to re-engage until after that ultimate is gone. Taking a look at the ults, everyone on the side of Eager outside of Omega has used it, as well as Cloud9. You still got Andy, but the important one, MLC and BaRRaCCuDDa, those are your team fight ults. They're gone.
They're looking for Andy, but Andy will jump over the wall again. Clearly you can see Zapman leading from the forefront, using that 3 to actually allow himself to go in and go, hey guys, what's going on? I'm safe, I can still walk away.
Great defense from Cloud9 right there under the Phoenix.
So the difficulty for Eager going forward, they have this lead and they're looking to pressure it. They're taking these towers, which is giving them the head, but the issue they're going to have is trying to get the Fire Giant. If they don't get a clean fight before they do it, the lack of a hunter, someone who can actually tank the Fire Giant properly, is going to hurt them. There is a way to get around that. Sol could get a
Fatalis?
the lifesteal item, Pythagorean's Piece.
Pythax, please, yeah.
And then her sustain is pretty good, and she can
Pythax
actually tank it
Bancrofts.
fairly strong.
Pythax or Bancrofts?
I would say Pythax, because she does a lot of in-hand damage and she gets the full lifesteal. Bancroft is only 12%, Pythax is 25 on top of the 10 from Poly, and she's going to be able to tank that very easily.
Isis too.
Exactly. Also, not for nothing for the Pythags over Bancroft's conversation. I'm a big fan of Bancroft's, believe it or not, but the deal with Sol is that she's got the heal. So you're going to constantly be healing yourself up. You're not going to want to be below 100% HP. So you're not going to really make use of that passive. Might as well trade the 10 or so damage by way of Pythagorean's Piece for the extra cooldown reduction and the extra lifesteal. So you do wind up losing a little bit of damage, but in the long run, the utility from Pythags is a little bit more worth it.
Pressure once again now to the left-hand side from Eager. They're trying to use their advantage of this polynomic Sol and the pressure they've got on the map to take down towers more than anything else. You can see how tanky Omega is.
Classic Omega. Just, was there a reason for him to take those shots? No, but he can, and he can heal it up, and he's just going to create space. My friends are taking out your speed buff. Okay? I'm going to walk underneath your tower for fun.
Well, they're walking away now because the Gold Fury is spawned and Eager are ready for it, as are Cloud9 here. Meanwhile, though, look at andinster on this right-hand side. Split pushing to victory. We've seen him do this for a little while. He pushed mid a little bit more, and he's getting pressure onto a Phoenix here, and that's going to force Omega back here.
You know, it's interesting. Serqet, not necessarily a character you think of when it comes to split pushing, but what she lacks in sort of natural tower kill ability, which we usually see it of Loki's or Bastet's because of the ability to strip back door protections, she can get out of jail.
I think it was more to do with the fact trying to catch up in a golden experience against DaretoCare. She'd fallen behind a little bit. You can see the gold lead between the two. And making an impact on Serqet is important to make sure you're at least equal level with the opposition in terms of itemization.
Exactly. It was a great play by andinster. Something so small does so many things. One, catches you up out of the gold you were talking about. Two, if you do successfully split push, fantastic, and then you have zigzag and jump away. She has many tools to get out of bad position. Three, you force somebody to come defend the Phoenix, which means this Gold Fury fight, which looked inevitable, is not on the table anymore. So andinster does one small thing with 3 separate goals.
Start to see an interesting standpoint now, because most of the time between Eager and Cloud9 in all these games, they've all focused on one objective. Gold Fury, Gold Fury, Gold Fury. Then there was a switch to Fire Giant when the Gold Fury is down. This time round, though, you just saw Jeff go over to that Fire Giant there and start placing wards down. We could see a mishmash. If one of these teams go for one of them, we could see an engage on the other at the same time.
This could be problems for LAssiz. He's stuck in the mid lane. Now he's separated from his team. But Baskin's going to walk up the mid lane.
No real panic from Stealth there whatsoever at all. Didn't beads, didn't panic that he was going to get ulted. Quite happy to just use his stun and walk away again. Gold Fury started up by the boys of Eager. They have the potential clear to do this. But if a lot is wasted, it could present an opportunity for Cloud9 for the Fire Giant. They're going to contest.
I like the situation for Eager. At the end of the day, they want to fight. They will fight, and they'll take it. All in right now. Stun from PolarBearMike. Darkest of Nights is already off, but here comes MLC, and Najat nowhere to be seen. LAssiz waiting in his ult, and everybody on the front side as MLC takes a lot of damage. LAssiz falls thanks to Andy. Zapman falls thanks to Baskin. Very low is Baskin. He's going to find himself on the front side, and BaRRaCCuDDa takes out there. Only one dies. That's BaRRaCCuDDa, and 3
Omega's
people
so
are dead on
though.
Eager.
They're all really low. So is Omega. PolarBearMike, the only healthy target on the side. They have to dive the tower, and they're going to use the boys to back them up to get through it. Omega has to run them down so they can't do the Gold Fury. He's going to be able to heal up as well with the mitigate wounds and continue chasing. Don't let them back so your boys can respawn. That's the game plan here.
That was a very knife-edge fight. Both teams were incredibly low, and T9 ended up getting the picks, but it's very important that Omega him and Mike exerting the pressure back, so they couldn't actually get anything meaningful off it. They traded some kills. It got Cloud9 some confidence, but really it hasn't changed the game. Gold Fury still up. No one got anything off that, so it's going to be a wash.
And the funny thing about that, that's one of the fights we've seen Cloud9 really win. And it's down to the fact DaretoCare's ult was not saved for MLC. And notice MLC, the moment he knows that ult isn't available, he's in there.
And it's basically a game of chicken, right? We have these two players just, all right, he who ults first will lose the fight. That's what's going on, and you're sitting there and Dare goes, and ultimately the game of chicken should lend itself to Dare.
Well, there's also the situation where LAssiz fell down there inside his circle of protection because his aegis lasted a little bit too long. And he exploded and he didn't get the heal. If that would have happened, LAssiz would have been in a lot healthier situation to continue that fight. Like you said, Astrexy, that was so close, that engagement. One little thing changes, everything changes.
Blink in from PBM, there's a grouping stun. MLC already at 50% HP. His ultimate still available and online. Boulder gonna push MLC out of the fight.
He gets that though.
Andy on top of Zap. Zapman gets a shield. Zapman can't heal, but a great ultimate will deal a lot of damage. Ultimately, Baskin takes him out. Flip, no kick. Baskin gonna be safe.
Chasing 2 targets though at the moment. You can see Andy was hunting for LAssiz. Meanwhile, Omega pushes Baskin back, doesn't find the kill. DaretoCare focusing on Athena after dealing with BaRRaCCuDDa. You can see Andinster jumping away to the left-hand side, but there's minions there to block him. They know where he is, and he's got to be very careful. LAssiz gonna clear a ward first. Andy doesn't know where to go. His cooldown's back up though, luckily, on that Deathbane. Gold Fury still stands.
Team Eager, that fight, so the last fight definitely went in Cloud9's favor. That last fight, Zapman dies. Nobody else. Okay. Eager look a little strung out here. DaretoCare was focusing a tank when there was a kill target in the backside. Was that to keep JeffHindla away from the rest of the team, or was that just a targeting mistake?
It might be a targeting mistake. Maybe he wasn't aware of how low Andy was, or chasing a Serqet as a Najar. It can be a bit of a fruitless endeavor.
Well, Gold Fury has begun for Cloud9. As you can see, they should get this for relatively free now. Boys of Eager gave that one up after that little aggression there. Zapman took a lot to kill him, though. They invested a lot in it, and luckily they brought him down, because that could have gone a different way if they didn't. LAssiz needs to watch himself there. Andy's going in. Big shield from PolarBearMike. Silence up by a second. Circle of protection required. No heals, though. Are going to be the call. The taunt from Jeff is beautiful on Mike. Omega on the back with a huge boulder, and Dare takes one up in the air.
This is the beginning of a landslide. DaretoCare picks up a kill, which is good. Eager need a stop. They're looking for more. A good ring toss will be huge here, and Zapman shows up, drops the Supernova. He's a little bit slow, but that's strong. BaRRa needs to die, and he does. DaretoCare picks him up. That's 15 over 13 right now for Eager, and as I said, they needed a stop, not just for the gold, but for the momentum. You can't lose 3 fights in a row and stick with it.
Andy's getting pressured out by Omega there. It looks like they want to go for the Fire Giant, but it is Osiris and Serqet they're up against here. It's not an easy task. Zapman below half health right now as well. Too risky, I guess. It looks like it dies.
Yeah, they don't have a reliable form to sustain to tank it. The damage is a bit low. So I feel with Serqet is a very good defender for Fire Giant, not for stealing it necessarily, but because she can CC you into the Fire Giant's damage and really mess it up.
One thing I've noticed as well, we spoke about the Meditate earlier on, it was pointed out, Salvation is still online, it's not being used. I'm surprised we're not seeing this being used to heal up the team at all in these situations where they've had these big group fights.
It might just be an active that he's not practiced with. It's not something that you typically get all the time, so it's like when you see Hunter players finally pick up Heavenly Agility, when they're used to Sprint 3, for example, when that change happened, you just don't use it because you're not used to it. It's not one of your muscle memory things.
Good call.
It's also not for nothing. There's a decent amount of healing reduction on the team, so you just might
Baskin's
not be
in a
able
little
to see
bit of
what
trouble
happens.
over here, surrounded by multiple members. Reinforcements are way away, but luckily Athena is on the way to give protections too. 2 against 4 is a definitely good better situation, but it's Jeff who is the focus now. Jeff is going to be really focused, but now Cloud9 are here to fight too.
There's the ultimate on the ground, and LAssiz is the one that ultimately takes out JeffHindla. There's 3 members of Cloud9, and one of them is MLC Stealth. He's pumping out the ghosts, and he finds himself on the backside. MLC Stealth down to 25%, but here comes the ult out of Baskin. It hits no one! That's a huge deal! And Team Eager trying to find the kills onto Baskin. They just can't secure it.
They'll get DaretoCare though. The poison does not spread. Zapman picks up a nice kill, and Omega a second. The last 2 of Cloud9 have to run, but LAssiz is covering the option now. If he can get here with this Spirit Ball to connect, where's the target on? He doesn't find one, but he will get the other.
Love the decision out of LAssiz right there. Go for the long range option with the stun and the close range option with the damage. If you get the stun, your team can catch up. If you don't, you can kill the target right in front of you. There's 4 members dead for Cloud9. Team Eager's going to take the Phoenix.
They potentially end here. I mean, it is only ZHong and Athena. It's a little bit on the risk, I guess, but
it's risky, but Eager's going for it. They want to risk it for the biscuit. This is the game they need. It's down 1-2.
There's a ton, and now the Tides of Pressure. That falls down to Stealth. The driving strike's good. The Cataclysm's good. The Boulder's good, but still, they're not going to be able to take down the Titan. They could have gone fire there.
Yeah, fire was definitely an option. I like the decision for them to go to the Phoenix first, though, because they're playing to Sol's strength. She's very good at taking towers, not so much Fire Giant, so I love that decision. The decision to end was a very risky one, and you could see...
I'll be honest.
I mean, it didn't work out, but
I'll be honest.
Could have.
I like the decision. It didn't work out, and that's unfortunate if you're an Eager fan. But I like the decision. As I said, they're down 1-2. If they lose this game, they lose the series. If they make this siege and they get wiped, Cloud9 doesn't win off of that, right? But if they win, they go on to Game 5. So that's the situation where you risk it.
The other thing we saw is the way that Omega actually controlled both of them at the end.
Yeah.
If that happened before Zapman died, then that would have been a clear. That was the game. They won.
Exactly. It's one of those situations where, you know what? If it comes up on the positive, fantastic, you're going to Game 5. And if it comes up on the negative, like it just did, it's kind of no big deal almost, right? Like, ideally, you would have gotten the Fire Giant, but you don't lose the game, and at the end of the day, that's all Eager's worried about right now.
You say you don't lose the game, but you give him a free Fire Giant. If you get wiped there, then you potentially lose all your towers, and you're on the back foot even though you got a Phoenix at them.
I don't see Cloud9 with the Fire Giant there, Hindu man.
Yeah, because they didn't fully wipe. That's the difference. They nearly fully wiped by going for that Titan. Imagine if that fight lasted a little bit longer and they hung around a little bit more.
I don't imagine. I go by the facts on the screen, and right now we're looking at a 36-minute game,
and
20-15. Read the kills.
The game's still going.
Team Eager up 5,500 gold. Everybody healthy and wealthy and ready to fight.
Nearly hitting full bills from most of the players as well. Now, just 1 or 2 left to hit. Soul Reaver was finished by Zapman. I didn't get a chance to bring it up because the fights are raging. But he did that before investing into the DaretoCare. So he's looking for the big burst 1-2. Good night, sweet prince. Oh, Zap gets a soul on Andy. No, he wasn't. He was support there, but it doesn't matter. 4v5.
Ultimate. Stun. Long range. Looking for more. PolarBearMike. Kind of being surrounded, but here comes Omega. Ultimate hits nobody. That might hurt.
Well, they're going to sort him out and look for the Fire Giant here position. Let's listen into the Eager comms here and see how the rest of this fight continues.
We can fight.
I still have Blink Knock. I still have Blink Knock.
We can fight here.
We have to go to fire. We can't let them see us right here.
They're trying to back.
Yeah,
Right.
they don't have vision control right here.
I have an ulti. I have
Blink. I have Blink. I don't want to.
Hey, Jean's here.
Tank it, man. Mega zoning.
Okay.
I'll let you guys know if we should fight. They're all coming in. We should probably fight.
Okay, let's go. Let's fight. Osiris is a good target.
Stun.
I have shield.
Watch with Zongo.
How about last? Everyone on last.
I'm shelling. That's my shell.
Switch to Zong, guys. Switch to Zong.
John.
This is beats.
I have knock up after that.
Nice. Go.
Bear beats
Switch
down.
back now. Switch back
I have shield for anyone.
Good job. Back to fire.
Back to fire.
Yeah.
Mike,
So Cat just came out.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'm just making sure this is free right here.
This is free. Just get over here.
I'm just not letting him. Yeah, don't let him back or anything.
Just be careful.
After this, we're gonna group left.
We can
we do gold first?
Push mid and gold.
Do you need
to head
down?
I think we should mid and gold and back.
Yeah.
Mid.
We could. Let's get mid tower. Because
Reaver
Serqet is
very
backing.
tanky.
Or Serqet is dead.
Go ahead, Omega.
Ulti in 23.
I have a lot of gold once we back.
know.
Yes, we're gonna do gold after this and back.
Absolute biggest point I want to drive home is how clean their target switching was. Comms were everybody was yelling.
My biggest point was the fact that comms were a lot better than game 1 when we listened in there. They were down. They didn't sound like the Ego we know. They were clean. They were crisp. They were on point. They knew what they were doing, and it sounded beautiful.
But it's the crisp, and it's how quickly the target switching was. Everybody, be careful of Zhong. Attack this person. Now go for this one.
One of my favorite things was actually with the target calling is they didn't just target call the enemy, they target called LAssiz. They were saying to protect LAssiz, and all they had to say is LAssiz, and then everyone grouped up,
Zhong,
straight up, and then onto Zhong.
And then it was straight onto BaRRaCCuDDa as soon as they all got hit by DaretoCare. Really good combination from the boys of Eager now. They're looking strong for this 2-2 tie-up right now. We're looking like a best of 5 here after.
I mean, it's been a long day, but we have been just gifted extremely good smite.
Do this all day. I'm quite happy to.
I mean, these games have been out of this world. We watched a best of 5 from, to say an underdog of enemy is probably doing them a disservice.
Did you just see how much damage that crit did from DaretoCare? He did 1200 with that.
That's not Ja.
Dare's about to go off.
That's not Ja.
Watch out.
But I mean, we were gifted an extremely fun to watch 5-game set between enemy and #1 seed Envy. And ultimately, the underdog won. Here, we have an evenly matched Eager versus Cloud9, and it's game 4, and Eager has a Fire Giant knocking on the door.
One of the most common builds we see from a Naja is going for the Deathbringer, but if we look at DaretoCare, it's actually going for the Malice, which is, I mean, it's a lot of damage to his ult. It's actually more than a Deathbringer.
Increases it, yeah.
Yeah.
So now
it's
with
nice
that
to
full
see
combo,
that.
it's a lot of crit online for DaretoCare now. Let Omega be the front line. He's got PolarBearMike for the peel on the backside, and Dare's free to roam around and pick a target. Spirit Ball nearly hit Jeff there. Jeff's going in, as are the boys at Cloud9. They're trying to make this big. They're trying to do what they can, but the Circle of Protection says, no, we will survive. Stealth is in a bad situation at the back and will fall down to LAssiz as Omega hits a boulder onto Andy to say, get away, son. Not today. LAssiz still stands strong.
JeffHindla gets driven into the wall. Cloud9 hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Baskin grabbed by DaretoCare. That ring is going to be strong. Baskin, he's going to get out of there. But right now, Eager looking at the Firebird. The right one, or the left one, has been taken. Eager going to move on right on to the mid.
Going for the mid lane as well. Omega on zoning duty. This looking like game situation for Eager to tie this up at 2-2. Take us to a decider. Weakened Phoenix on the right is all that remains between them. Eager's not making any mistakes this time. They're going to take everything out first and patiently wait.
So careful, just right across the board like a typewriter. Left, mid, right, they take them out, and now they're taking out the players. Zapman, BaRRaCCuDDa into the ground. Baskin, he's tanky, but it's just not tanky enough. The ultimate from LAssiz is up, and Baskin still alive, but the Titan, not so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a Game 5.
Game 5, and what a performance from both these teams. Khepri and Jing 10 for Cloud9 was the start of this all that brought them up to 2-0. Eager answered back and found wins with Zeus, followed by a really good situation win there with an Isis. For me, the focus was on LAssiz from Cloud9, and they still found the win.
I mean, this is what we were talking about. We mentioned so many times how important the momentum was for this team, Eager. They come through, they win a game, and then they really win a game. And because of that, we're headed to game number 5.
Crazy backwards and forwards between the two teams too. I mean, it's not like one team is playing bad. Do you see anyone playing bad on either team? Because I don't, and that's a crazy thing.
I think this is very much everyone is playing up to where they should be playing, and I feel like going forward, I feel like Eager figured out that they're going to pick the ZhongHue, and then straight away you go for the Naja, and they are making that work. And I think for C9 to bring this back, they really need to counter that and either find a way to deal with it or just stop picking Zhong.
All right, here, real quick, Ataraxia. It's a one-game series. Who wins?
Still giving it to C9. I think they're going to bounce back. This is what they do.
Hey, they did it at Worlds. Can they do it again?
I don't know. In fact, why don't we ask Kelly?
Well, what do you guys think? Are we giving it to Eager or are we giving it to Cloud9?
I'm still sticking with my predictions. Game 5, it's going to go to C9.
What does C9 need to do to win? I mean, Eager is on such a steamroll right now.
I honestly might have to be with Toli here. Right now, DaretoCare on this Naja is pretty disgusting. He's controlling the pace of the game, and he's really utilizing his ult to take targets out of the fight. This time he didn't get so far behind, so get itemized more into damage early. The team as a whole is playing really good. I love the Isis counter pick into the Zhong. You could actually hear it on the Eager comms. The second that Zhong ult went off, it was everyone on LAssiz. Lass drops his ult, they all group up, and Stealth was going very deep in most of these fights, blinking in and kind of getting blown up, and unfortunately Cloud9 counter-engage into that Isis ult.
Do you think we're going to see a Naja ban?
I hope that C9 picks first pick, that we see the Naja ban, and they're going to take the for Baskin there. More than likely, Xingchen's going to get banned. Either Zeus or Soul is going to get banned from Eager, and then that's going to leave, a good comfort pick for Baskin.
Why has Naja worked so well for Eager?
I don't think it's Naja alone. I think it's Naja with the Geb. I think, as I said before, I think PolarBearMike had real troubles in the first 2 games trying to initiate alone, and he had some help with what did he have in the first game? Was it Humbats, I think?
Yes, they had a Humbats.
And I think they had a Thor game as well, right?
That was the second game.
Yeah, so they are good initiation gods, but it's nothing compared to Naja. Naja goes in and really starts the fight, because you have that time to get ready, to prepare to blink in, and then Geb ult or Geb 2, whatever it might be. You have that time to get ready, and I don't think PolarBearMike really... I don't think he was able to do it with the Athena Humbats or the Geb Thor, or whatever it was they had.
Yeah, that was the combos.
Yeah.
So if they take away Geb, then Naja's not going to be that good?
I'm not sure it's the specific combo. I think it's just that it's that type of initiation.
It's the fact that PolarBearMike doesn't have to be the initiator. It's DaretoCare really forcing these fights. DaretoCare has been picking a lot of players off with his Naja early, and they're focusing a single individual down, and the team as a whole can group up. It allows PolarBearMike to play a more defensive style and peel for his carries in the back, and then use those cataclysms.
Use the defensive ults like he was doing well in the first 2 games.
What was interesting was the fact that C9, they picked Serqet last into a Geb. So their strategy was to pick on the solo laner there, and they got a first blood on there, and they also ganked him a little bit in the mid game. And because of that, with the Athena ulti, that opened up an easy gold fury for Eager. So that's as we see the first blood, actually, it was onto DaretoCare there after he used his ulti defensively.
So what gods do you build Serqet into besides Geb? It seems like that you either have the single target assassins or you go with Hoonbats, who is more of a team fight oriented.
You build Serqet into typically if the enemy team has multiple hyper carries, like 2 or gods that you can blow up with your full combo. Unfortunately, though, he picked it into kind of a series where it's a bunch of 5-on-5 fights, and a lot of times it's hard to get into the back line, and that's, I think, why we've seen Serqet truly struggle in this LAN, is because everyone is grouping. It's 5v fights all the time, and a lot of times there's huge AoE damage. Serqet can't get to the back line. Like, we saw multiple fights in the soul lane that were all big groupings, and andinster's kind of just like sitting under. He's like, I can't go in, man. There's nothing for him to go on.
Then how do you counter that? What god do you need to pick to be able to get into the back line?
It's just going to depend on also like the soul lane. They had Xingchen to go into the soul lane. They're going to need to find something like, could be Ao Kuang, it could be Serqet, but they need
Keep
to...
saying Ao Kuang, but no one's even considering it.
Especially against guys like Khepri. Khepri was banned a couple times, but I think if C9 gets the first pick, that it's going to be open, and they could potentially have that option available.
So C9's really known for doing well from behind, but they haven't really done too well this game 3 and 4. Why
It was really difficult for the 4th game specifically to go into the Isis, as we saw. The Zhong Kui's damage was completely mitigated by the Isis heal, and the Serqet, it was very difficult to do her damage when you had the Geb shield on top.
What was really surprising to me really was how Cloud9, even when behind, even into that Ice Assault, we saw them take the initiations most of the time, outside of DaretoCare finding a pick in the jungle. A lot of times it was stealth blinking very deep into the back line, Baskin following up, and that Ice Assault just negated so much. The Ice Assault, for me, was the key to that game that allowed Eager to fight back in. And yeah, I mean, Cloud9 were forcing the fights, and Eager's just like, all right, we're going to sit in an Ice Assault.
Well, guys, it is 2 games of 5 today. Really exciting stuff, and we're going to see who is going to be going to the World Championships right now.